Hello students, in the last video we have discussed the oogenesis process. Today we would start with the transverse section of ovary, or the process of oogenesis would show several changes inside the ovary. What are those changes that would occur inside the ovary? So we would draw a transverse section of ovary. Now, in this transverse section of ovary, as we said that oocytes are, or rather oogonia are present. Now, these oogonia would show growth, and after showing growth, this oogonia would get converted into a cell called primary oocyte. So, now we can see the process of oogenesis. In that process, the multiplication phase occurred in the fetal phase, and the growth phase, after undergoing the growth phase, these oogonia, that are the mother cells of the egg, would convert into a structure or a cell that is diploid in nature. This diploid structure is known as primary oocytes. Now, these primary oocytes would be lined by several cells present in the ovary. These are the flattened cells or flattened follicular cells. So, flattened follicular cells. Now, when the flattened follicular cells surrounds the primary oocyte, it is now known as primordial follicle, or you can say it is 1 degree follicle or either primary follicle. So, what we have seen, inside the ovary, the process of oogenesis would start, or the process of oogenesis would take place, in which the primary oocyte, which is a diploid cell, would get converted into primordial follicle, that is by surrounding of the flattened follicular cells. Now, this structure is again surrounded by another layer of columnar follicular cells. So, there is another layer of columnar follicular cells. So, first it is surrounded by flattened follicular cells, then it is surrounded by columnar follicular cells, and ultimately it turns to a structure which is surrounded by granulosa cells that is present inside the ovary. So we can show the granulosa cells with this black color. This is your granulosa cells. Now what we are saying, this primordial follicle is surrounded by columnar follicular cells as well as granulosa cells to form 1 degree follicle. This is also known as primary follicle. Clear? Now, what we have seen, oogonia first got converted into primary oocytes by showing the process of growth that we have seen in the last class. It occurs due to accumulation of yolk, that is due to vitellogenesis. After that, primordial or primordial follicle forms and primary follicle is formed. Now, inside that primary follicle, this structure is still primary oocyte. Now, this primary follicle now gets converted into 2 degree follicle, that is more of granulosa cells would surround this structure, and it would be covered by several layers, in which we can show these layers differentiated into two thecas. This is called theca externa, and beneath that we can show another layer, that is theca interna. That is, this would show internal layer and this would show external layer, as the name suggests. So now what we have seen, this 2-degree follicle or the structure is also known as secondary follicle. This secondary follicle has the primary oocyte inside it, and there are granulosa cells which would form 2 theca layers. After this, we would see this secondary follicle would now start meiosis 1. That is your maturation phase of the oogenesis. When it is undergoing meiosis 1, now the structure inside this cell is actually secondary oocyte. So this primary oocyte got converted to secondary oocyte. This was diploid. Because it has undergone meiosis process, it is now haploid structure. And we would show the outermost covering to be like this. That means the follicular granulosa cells are arranged such that there is a fluid-filled cavity called antrum. So differentiation between the tertiary follicle or 3-degree follicle and secondary follicle is that this follicle represents that this structure or the primary oocyte has undergone meiosis 1 to produce a haploid structure which is known as secondary oocyte. After this tertiary follicle, it is again converted to Graafian follicle. This Graafian follicle is also known as mature follicle. So what we have seen, primary follicle, secondary follicle, tertiary follicle, and ultimately Graafian follicle. Now this Graafian follicle would have this secondary oocyte in it, and that secondary oocyte is released from the ovary. We would see why this is released from the ovary and what are the hormonal changes that actually are responsible for all these changes that would occur inside the ovary. So here we would take a quick review of hormones. Now, we would link this with the hormones or the ovarian hormones that are responsible for the process of oogenesis. So what we have seen, this secondary oocyte is released, and the release process is known as by the process of ovulation. So the process by which secondary oocyte is released from the ovary is known as ovulation, and this ovulation is also supplemented or done because of a hormone that is called luteinizing hormone. So once in the female's body luteinizing hormone is maximum, that condition is known as LH surge, and that LH surge is responsible for ovulation process. Now what we have seen, these processes are all linked with the hormones. So we would start the hormones. Hypothalamus. As we know, hypothalamus is the part of your nervous system, but this hypothalamus is also responsible for release of certain hormones called trophic hormones. They would release GnRH, that is gonadotrophin releasing hormone. So gonadotrophin releasing hormone is released from this, and it stimulates the anterior part of pituitary gland, which is also known as master gland. So we know that pituitary gland is the master gland of your endocrine system. So the hypothalamus would stimulate the anterior part of pituitary gland, which in turn releases gonadotrophic hormones. So this would release gonadotrophic hormones. Now, these gonadotrophic hormones are, first one is FSH, that is follicle stimulating hormone. So we have seen this prior in the endocrine process, that this is follicular stimulating hormone. And as the name suggests, this follicular stimulating hormone is actually responsible for stimulation of these follicles. So now you can link this hormone with the process of oogenesis. There was conversion of primary follicle to secondary to tertiary. This change is actually occurring because of this FSH. It stimulates the follicles or formation of follicles. So primary follicle getting converted to secondary, then tertiary is actually stimulated by what? The first gonadotrophic hormone, that is called follicular stimulating hormone. But this is the first hormone. There is another hormone called LH. This is also important. It is known as luteinizing hormone. Now, this luteinizing hormone is also doing an important process. Once this follicle stimulating hormone has stimulated these follicles, primary, secondary, tertiary, now inside this tertiary follicle, we are seeing what? Secondary oocyte. We are seeing that inside the tertiary follicle, there is a haploid structure called secondary oocyte. So, this LH is important for, it is important for LH surge. So we discussed this point. When inside a female the hormonal level, or rather luteinizing hormone, is at its peak, that condition is called LH surge. What we would write here? When LH is at its peak, it is known as, that condition is known as LH surge. So this luteinizing hormone is responsible for that LH surge, and once the LH surge occurs, this ovulation occurs, and this LH surge, it is responsible for ovulation. So now we can see the changes that was inside the ovary is linked with the hormones. Once there is LH surge, or once the level of luteinizing hormone is higher or attains peak in the female's body, then it is responsible for what? Then it is responsible for a process that is known as ovulation, and by this process of ovulation, there is release of secondary oocyte from the ovary. So now we can say that in the process of ovulation, it is not the egg which is released, but it is the secondary oocyte, and this structure is also haploid in nature, and your egg is also haploid in nature. So meiosis 1 is completed before the release of the secondary oocyte by the process of ovulation. Now, when this secondary oocyte is released from the ovary, there are leftover particles or either the blood vessels. What are left? The blood vessels. These blood vessels would unite together to form a structure. That structure is known as corpus hemorrhagium. So, this structure forms a structure which is known as corpus hemorrhagium, which is further changed because of the presence of special cells, that is called lutein cells, into another structure. These are what? These are your lutein cells. This structure is known as corpus luteum. So what we have seen, after ovulation, corpus hemorrhagium is formed, and ultimately due to lutein cells there is, which are glandular in nature, that means they would secrete something. So they would form a structure that is called corpus luteum. This corpus luteum acts as a gland. Now, as we said, ovary is a primary organ of female reproductive system, but we have said prior that primary structure is responsible for the release of gametes as well as the hormones. So this is the next part. Now this ovary is responsible for secretion of two hormones, which are also known as ovarian hormones. So ovarian hormones are two. First one is known as estrogen. This is secreted by mature follicle. So, when there is presence or this Graafian follicle is formed, it is responsible for the secretion of what? Estrogen. But the second hormone is known as progesterone. Now what we would see, this corpus luteum is actually responsible for the secretion of second hormone. So it is secreted by corpus luteum. Now what we would see, this corpus luteum would secrete progesterone. So this corpus luteum, if persist, if it is present inside the body, now this fate of this corpus luteum would decide whether fertilization would occur or fertilization would not occur. We have seen this secondary oocyte is released in the fallopian tube if this secondary oocyte gets fertilized. So here we are writing fate of what? Secondary oocyte. So there are two conditions. First we are giving positive, next is negative. This is with the reference of fertilization. If the secondary oocyte meets with the sperm, then it is fertilized. So fertilization occurs. Here no fertilization. So if fertilization occurs, this corpus luteum would persist. So what would occur? This would persist. That means it would remain inside that female body, because as we know, this progesterone is also known as, this is also known as pregnancy hormone. This is also known as what? Pregnancy hormone. So inside a female during the pregnancy period, there must be progesterone level, and for that corpus luteum must persist. So if it persists, then the level of progesterone is high inside that female, and we would know that female is pregnant. So this persists and fertilization would occur. If this secondary oocyte would not meet with the sperm, then there would be no fertilization. So we would see here secondary oocyte does not meet with sperm, then no fertilization, and hence this corpus luteum disintegrates. What would occur? Corpus luteum disintegrates. and this corpus luteum would lastly change to a structure that is known as corpus albicans. So what we are saying? We are seeing that corpus hemorrhagium was the first structure after the release of the secondary oocyte, which is what? That is containing with the blood vessels or the leftover part of this Graafian follicle. This would contain the lutein cells. Together with the lutein cells, it would form a structure that is called corpus luteum. And this luteum, if persists, is responsible for the secretion of progesterone throughout the pregnancy period. If fertilization would not occur, it would disintegrate into a white-bodied structure. How would we differentiate between them? It is known as yellow-bodied structure. This is known as white-bodied structure. So once this corpus albicans is formed, the slowly progesterone level keeps on decreasing inside the female, and that decrease in the progesterone level is actually responsible for the next menstrual cycle. So ultimately, in the next video, we would discuss the menstrual cycle, how this process of oogenesis is also linked with our reproductive cycle that is occurring inside the human females or either primates, and it is known as menstrual cycle. So this structure is actually what? TS of ovary, that is transverse section of ovary. And what we would see, this ovary space, actually the space inside the ovary is known as ovarian. It is known as ovarian stroma. What it is known? It is known as ovarian stroma. So when we do the transverse section of ovary, the parts present at this periphery is known as cortex, ovarian cortex, and inside structure is known as medulla. So together these cortex or ovarian cortex and ovarian medulla is together known as ovarian stroma, and these are lined by germinal epithelium. So this is it. Thank you.